The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has rescued 7 young women from a suspected human trafficking ring in Kano State. The agency's Kano Zonal Command carried out a raid on a hotel in Sabon Gari, acting on credible intelligence. The victims, aged between 21 and 24, were reportedly trafficked from southern Nigeria, with Kano used as a transit point before onward movement to Baghdad in Iraq for labor exploitation. 2 suspects were arrested, while investigations revealed the operation was allegedly organized by a woman in connivance with a man still at large. The victims were expected to repay their travel expenses with profit upon arrival. The rescued women are now under NAPTIP care in Kano, receiving counseling and rehabilitation. The suspects will face prosecution once investigations are concluded. Nigeria has been ranked 142nd out of 182 countries in the 2025 Corruption Perceptions Index (CPI), scoring 26 out of 100, where 0 represents a highly corrupt country and 100 a very clean one. The ranking represents a drop of 2 places from Nigeria's position in the previous year. Beyond the numbers, however, questions are also being raised about whose interest the index truly serves. Against this backdrop, Trust TV's Nuel Samson spoke with anti-corruption advocates to gauge their reaction to the latest ranking. Take a look.
Nigeria's score of 26 out of 100 and its 142nd position in the 2025 Corruption Perceptions Index placed the country well below the global average and behind several African peers, including Botswana, Rwanda, Cape Verde, and Ghana, highlighting the level of perceived public sector corruption. Although the CPI measures perception rather than proving corruption cases, the index significantly influences how investors, lenders, and international partners view Nigeria. This perception often affects foreign investment inflows, borrowing costs, and overall economic confidence. A low ranking also puts pressure on governments at all levels to strengthen transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption institutions. Domestically, it can further erode public trust in governance, underscoring the index's impact on Nigeria's economy, governance framework, and global image. Anti-corruption advocates who spoke to Trust TV expressed mixed reactions to the latest ranking.
My reaction is that we are very deeply worried and concerned at the level of intensity of corruption or corrupt practices in Nigeria, especially at local, state, and national level. The level of corruption going on in various public institutions is worrisome.
Because I think I like to even respond as a Nigerian, not even someone who works there. I think it's disheartening. I think it's very discouraging. And like I said in there, it's important that we are able to analyze why. And like we have mentioned, there is lack of transparency, there is a lack of accountability.
While supporters argue that the CPI serves as a reform-driven tool by exposing governance weakness, critics insist that it unfairly stigmatizes countries without fully reflecting local anti-corruption effects.
The Corruption Perception Index is a tool that will help governments to address gaps in terms of its corruption and corrupt practices. If you have honest and sincere government, you use the Corruption Perception Index to address some of the gaps, either in policy or in practice, or in terms of implementation of legal frameworks, to be able to address gaps. It is not an enemy tool. It is a tool that enables the state to work hard and prevent and block leakages.
I think my response is going to be show workings, all right? Just show evidence, right? If you think that it's propaganda, then show workings of what is not. Show workings of something that you have done. Show workings of the steps you've taken to ensure that processes are more transparent, procurement processes, financial processes are more transparent, and that people who have been entrusted with public funds are accountable to the people. Show workings, basically. That's going to be my response.
When you are having foreign investors come examine or when they want to know about your country, these are the parameters, the things they look out for, all these indexes, and they do matter. That is why it is also good you to portray your country in good light, especially those are always portraying the country in bad light and maybe use this index or any other report for whatever purposes. It doesn't really serve the country very well. But what is more important is to look at the issues, the recommendations of any report, of any index, and the government and those responsible should just be responsible and do the right thing.
Despite the drop in ranking, observers point to some positive developments, including improvements in asset recovery efforts and Nigeria's exit from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. They argue that with sustained political will, stronger institutions, and increased transparency, Nigeria can significantly reduce corruption to its barest minimum. Nuel, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.